The cremation of a man renowned for his learning and wisdom was held in Denpasar, the capital of Bali, on March the 17th, 1986. The man, colloquially called the King of Denpasar, was the sole survivor of a dynasty wiped out by colonial invaders in the first decade of this century. This tower is all that remains of the original palace after this momentous cataclysm. Chokorda Gede Nura Permachutan, the recently deceased, was 8 years old when he was found, wounded but alive, in amongst the pile of over 1,000 bodies of his kinsmen and women who had processed directly into the formidable guns of their Dutch opponents. In the afternoon prior to the cremation, there is a pre-funerary procession through the streets of Denpasar, attended by all members of the late king's extended clan. In the procession, a grandson of the deceased king carries a family heirloom, the sacred kris, or sword. The huge Ogar Ogar, a puppet image of chaos, confusion and hilarity, appears to be a recent addition to funerary and other ritual processions, where thronging crowds and noisy excitement are considered desirable for their successful completion. Despite the Puputan, the clan of Permachutan is now the largest on Bali. The family owes its great size to a king of the early 17th century who had 80 wives and children too numerous to count. Relatives and former subjects exhume the remains of their dead. They will take advantage of the forthcoming great ceremonial cremation of the king to enhance the passage of the souls of their own relatives. At the graveyard, a high priest pounds the earth 3 times with his staff, summoning the spirits of the dead to enter it. Bones, the last remains of the physical body, are carefully gathered, washed in coconut milk and lime, and generally attended to in much the same way as the corpse had been prior to burial. Offerings would have been placed by their graves in the same sequence as birth rites had been conducted during life. Finally, the bones are laid out in human form, ready for further purification through fire. The human souls will be represented by flower and sandalwood effigies. At midnight of the full moon, the body of the king, which has lain in the main household pavilion amid family heirlooms since death, is unwrapped and washed by his male children with his 8 wives in close attendance. This is a preparation for the beginning of his soul's journey, which will take place during the required phase of the waning moon. The most senior wife of the deceased places her hand across his genitals throughout the ritual washing. The Balinese find it difficult to comprehend the philosophy of life of others, which allows them to consign the care of the bodies of their deceased to strangers. On the evening prior to the cremation, the bull casket in which the king's body will be burnt and the base of the funerary tower, which represents the world of men, are taken from the palace to the street. The 11-tiered tower, representing the 11 heavens attainable by one of such high caste, is then connected to the base. Standing at 25 meters, the tower, which symbolizes the three worlds that constitute the Balinese universe, the celestial world of the 11 heavens, the middle world of mankind, and the lower world of demons and the supernatural, is now ready for tomorrow, when it will carry the body of the king on his last journey through the streets of his hereditary kingdom of Denpasar. At the base of the tower, entwined around the turtle on which the world rests, is the giant serpent, responsible for the stability of the earth. The lion-like Boma head and the eagle-like Garuda, symbols of ambiguous power, embody destruction and creation, death and life. The night prior to cremation is perceived as a time of danger. Unseen forces can operate to prevent the desired passage of the soul and even endanger the lives of those whose existence is linked to the deceased. A high priest creates the holy water for the rituals of death by the cosmic act of shooting an arrow, tipped with a lotus flower, into a vat of water. This is distributed to the close family by the heir apparent. A shadow puppet enactment of the hazardous journey of the legendary Bhima, in search of his parents in the afterworld, is an instruction to the wandering souls of the deceased, an offering to appease unmanifest powers, and entertainment for the living. On the day of the cremation procession, the busy streets of Denpasar will be closed to traffic. Overhead wires are cut to allow for the passage of the 11-tiered funerary tower. For the Balinese, cremation is not a time of mourning. It is a time when ideals of decorum are suspended, replaced by intense, frenzied activity. Displays of grief are considered to be an impediment to the release of the soul. The bird of paradise, a symbolic aid to the flight of the soul, will accompany the body in the funeral tower on its passage to the cremation ground. The bull, a representation of Siwa, the creator and destroyer, receives last-minute attention. The governor and other honored guests are received by the family of the deceased king. The cremation procedures of the other 560 souls who are accompanying their king have already begun. Soon after midday, exactly 42 days after his death, the body of the king is taken from the palace and placed in the funerary tower for the boisterous procession to the cremation ground, where the powers of death are invoked. At the crossroads, the 200 or more carriers of the vast tower, which now contains the mortal remains of the king, rotate the tower 3 times, so as to confuse the soul of the deceased Simultaneous with the almost frenzied beating of the processional gong orchestra and the roar of the vast crowd, the soft tunes of the gendare maintain a semblance of harmony for the passing soul amongst the chaos which accompanies its departure from familiar environments. The symbolic body, the purpose of which is to correlate the four spiritual brethren who have attended the individual from the womb and throughout life, is first carried down the ramp and placed in the bull. Then follows the corpse, wrapped in white. A high priest, accompanied by the sons of the deceased, prepares the body for its final purification through fire and water. Soon, the 560 individuals, cremated with their king, will begin their voyage to the tiered heavens of the ancestors. Soon, the individuals and their khanda and pats will return to the four fundamental elements of life, that is, to water, fire, earth, and air. In an act of great daring, a young man climbs to the precarious top of the 25-meter funerary tower to retrieve heirloom cloths and gold leaf. Balinese cremation is, in fact, what the anthropologist Clifford Geertz described as the quintessential royal ceremony. It is splendid, turbulent, yet rigorously ordered and choreographed down to the finest detail. As the procession bearing the ashes, the last earthly remains of the recently cremated, leaves the cremation ground for the sea for final disposal, a great fire is made from the Tower of the 11 Heavens, now that its purpose has been fulfilled. In 12 days' time, and again after 42 days, further rites will be held to ensure the return of the souls to the realm of deified ancestors. In Balinese belief, death is regarded as a force as powerful and as life-confirming as birth, in that at death, the soul is released to join the ancestor heaven, from which it returns again at birth. The path of the soul